Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about animation in Fusion 360. So let's say you have a mechanism like this, an assembly, and you want to create a simple animation which is mostly here about moving components, rotating them, and doing exploded views. So when we say animation here, we are not talking about motion study. Remember, motion study was done under assembly assemble environment, and it was here. This is where you could apply a motion to the joint and look at the motion of the mechanism and convert it to a video. So here, this is more about basically the constraints are not there. Okay, the constraints are not there, and you can freely move the components. So let me show you what I mean. So if I run this here, this is about disassembling this mechanism, right? Taking these members out, and then you can move the camera, the zoom, and then putting it back in again, right? Assembling it again, and then maybe again change your camera, the amount of zoom or anything like that. And then if you want, you can hide it at the end or do anything that you want. And then you can turn on and off the camera. This annotation is not a part of animation, but you can create callouts on the objects. And these were done by the command transform components, these motions. But if you want, you can use this auto explode at one level or all levels, or manual explode, and do any way that you want, and then create a what we call a storyboard or an animation. And here is another one. Look, this time this one is created by auto explode. Look, so here if I run this one, this is the auto explode, and an extra zoom that was done at the same time with the last two motions. Okay, so this is what you have. And as I said, you can go ahead and publish it into an AVI movie. So let me show you how this one is done. So to do that, let's go here and create a new storyboard. So this is what I have. This is the mechanism, and this basically playhead is what we call, or this bar determines the time, right? The time in the simulation. So at the 0, you have nothing, and then you can, let's say, for instance, go from 0 to 1 second. 0 and 1, you can do some kind of transformation, some motion. So let's say you click on this, and then you click on this pin, and then you're going to move it in the X direction for 60 mil in the negative X direction, and then you OK that, right? So now you see that transformation is added to the timeline, and this playhead is moved, as you remember, we moved it to 1 second. Now look, if I go back and then if I play it, you see between 0 to 1, this motion happens. Now, if you want, you can make that motion a little bit longer, right? So go from 0 to 2. Let's make it 2 seconds instead of 1 second. And then if you move your cursor over this, you can extend it, right? So I can make it go from 0 to 2 seconds and make that motion a little bit slower. Look now. So the whole thing now happens in 2 seconds instead of 1 second. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that you do. And then let's say now you move it to 4 seconds, and then you do your next motion again. So you click here, and then you click on this guy, and let's say you move it in this direction, then you accept it. Now if you look, there is an overlap between these two. So if I go ahead and run it, look, before this motion ends, that motion starts because there is some overlap here. But if you want, you can get rid of that. So you can grab here and make this right at 2. Okay, so that one is exactly at 2, and this one is exactly at 2. So now there should be no overlap. First one ends, then the next one starts, right? Or maybe no, you want, for instance, both of them to happen between 0 to 2 seconds, and then between 2 to 4, you want to do something else. Let's say, for instance, between 2 to 4, you want, let's say, this guy to move, huh? So you can click on this and move it in this direction. Okay, and you OK that. Now, by bringing this to 2, now this one happens between 2 to 4. So let's play it again. Those two happen at the same time, then this one comes. And then maybe between 4 to 6, you move the slider. So you click on the slider and you move it in this direction, right? And then you, by the way, you can click on this train line visibility that shows the path that you took to disassemble this. If you want, you can do that as well. So now this one happens, let's say, right after 4. So now if you play it, look. In this one, we added a train visibility line. If you want, you can add it for the other ones too, to show the direction of motion. So if you double click on this, right, and or this one, okay, you can see the amount of displacements, right? And if you right click on them, let me okay that. If you right click on them, you see edit start end edit action. So if I click on edit action, I can click here and I can add the train line visibility, or I can do a similar thing for this one, and then maybe one for this guy. There we go. So now if we go back and do it, there we go. You see, now I got my lines. And let's say now that I'm done with these motions, I want to move the camera out. I want to zoom out. So I go here from 6 to 8, and in between these, I do this motion. Okay, and you see that the camera is added, and you can start the camera exactly at 6. See if I can do that. Let me move this guy back to 6 if I can. Okay, can right click here and say edit start end. So I want it to exactly be at 6. And this one also edit the start end. This one I exactly also want it to start at 6 and end at 8 exact. Like that. So now look. The lines are added. This one, and then a zoom out. You see? And then you can keep going. For instance, you can bring them back now. You can collapse them back, bring them back, and then you can zoom in again. The question is, when you do this, or you do an exploded view like you did here, how would you bring them back? Let me show you an exploded view first, and then we talk about bring them back to the original position. So here I click on storyboard 4 or 5, doesn't matter really, the name. And here I do a, seems like we made too many. We need to delete one of them. So here I click on transform and I say auto explode all levels, but you have to first say on what. So here I pick the whole thing and then say auto explode all levels, and you see it does it for you. And you have this slider here that can say how much of the basically explosion is going to happen. And here you can also add the train line visibilities too. Okay, so here we go. Look. And you see they're all done at the same time. And if you want, you can make them a little bit slower. So you grab these and then you can make all of them like to be 2 seconds instead of 1 second, and that should do the job for you, right? So let's see. Here we go, and then here, and finally there. So now if you play it, in 2 seconds everything should happen. There we go. So this is explode all. Now how do I bring it back? If I want to bring them back to where they were, what can I do? So let's say this crank was there, but the support moved. So if I right click on it and then I use which option? Yes, you're right, restore home. Look, it comes back, then right click on this, starts, comes back, and then here, again, this one, and then here. There we go, everything is back, right? You see, so that's explode. and then it comes back. Okay, yeah. So this going back home is what you have. So here I did all of that, and now let's say I want to go from 8 to 10, and between 8 to 10, let's see if I right click on this whole assembly and say restore home, everything comes back at the same time. Do you see that? Yeah. And if you want, you can do that after this. Zoom out, and then finally from 10 to 12 you can do a zoom in like this, and now you should have a good animation. So let's go ahead and do it. Zoom in, come back, zoom out. And if you want, you can have something in between that does do nothing. For instance, let's say you bring this to 13 like that, and then grab these guys. Let's see if I can grab all 4 of them and bring them right here, something like this. So now between 8 and 9 roughly you should not have anything. Okay, so let's see here. So you can have 1 second that nothing happens. That might be good, give the viewer some time to see something. Okay, there we go. And as I said, you can turn the camera off or on during this animation so it doesn't capture everything. So if I click on here and click on this view, you see now it says view is not recording. So right now if I do anything, it's not going to be recorded. Or I can grab it and start recording again, and by publishing, as I said, you can convert it to an AVI movie. So look here, I do that, and then I say this is good, the current document window size is good, or you can change the size, and you can OK that, and then it asks you to give it some name, and you can save it to the cloud or to your local computer. And once this guy goes to 100%, you should be able to get a video like what I have over here. Look. And this you can import in any presentation or anything because it's just an AVI movie. So you can just publish this, explode and unexplode, or you might call it collapse in other CAD software. So hopefully this video was useful to you and you learned some basics about creating storyboards and animations and using transformation or explode. And remember, explode could be done at all levels, or it could be just one component, and it can also be done manual, which is done basically the same way that I did it with the transform component. And in the middle, if you want, you can hide some component too. So you can somewhere in the middle or after, you can also click here and you can hide the component if you want through the animation as well. So that's basically very simple, but that's all you have in Fusion 360 animation. So thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you in the next lecture.